Hello everyone, welcome back to Dave's Garage at Dave's Garage 249, and you can get at me on YouTube by typing in David Neidlinger, Neidlinger, and you will see that I have like a ton of videos up, and go ahead and watch some of them. Some of them are interesting, some of them maybe not so much, but bottom line is that if I could get you to subscribe, that would be awesome. So today we're going to do some work on my 68 Chevelle Pro Street car. I'm redoing fuel lines, and I just wanted to show you how I go about building fuel lines for my car, and maybe you'll see something that you like and can adapt for your own benefit, or maybe you could show me something that you do that I would be interested in. So with that, we'll get right to work. So here's where we're at now. This is the fuel regulator. Earlier this summer I built a new Dash 8 fuel line, and you can see we've got Dash 6 that I've kind of mocked up. This is where one hose is going to go, and the straight through, and then this fitting right here is I'm going to move my fuel pressure gauge up onto the right next to the fuel pressure gauge on the cowl induction hood, and rather than have it here. Now I want to show you this fitting. This is why you don't want to tape, use Teflon tape on these fittings. When I took this apart, it was just loaded with Teflon tape, and the reason why was because it was not fitting well, and they just wrapped it with a ton of tape, and it galled the first two threads on the fitting. And obviously they weren't able to get it deep enough into the regulator housing, and so I had to spend about an hour correcting that, and I'll show you just a second how I did that. What this is it's kind of a machine repair technique where you actually repair the machine and not just replace it with parts. That fitting is not cheap, and then by the time you pay shipping, buying one fitting, so we'll make our best attempt at repairing it. But 3/8 pipe tap, thread file. If you have one of those in your toolbox, actually you should have a whole set. I use the Loctite 592 sealant, and these are the tools I use to pick all that Teflon tape out of there, along with some of these Q-tips to clean things up. So spent about an hour doing that, and I got it back together, and it looks like it's going to be okay. But whenever you work on fuel lines like that and stuff, what we'll do is before we actually put fuel in the carburetor is we'll probably flush that a little bit first to make sure that we don't get anything up in the needle valves and seats. And it's just kind of risky on the regulator that you could get something stuck in the diaphragm. Before we get started, I just want to show you that I'm not getting paid or anything from these people, but I just really like them. Raceflux hoses. I like their fittings. I'm changing everything over to black. I don't believe they have the red, blue stuff. But one of the things I like about the fitting is I'll get it over here in the light and show you one of the differences in their fittings. I don't know if you can see this or not. Hopefully the camera will focus some. It's not going to show up very well, I can tell. But inside on like a Russell or the Aeroquip or the other fittings, there's a series of ribs here where you slide the hose in and you have to push and shove and fight with it, and the braided steel frays, and it's just kind of, you're sticking your you get little sticky things sticking into your fingers. Pain, sweat, and these Raceflux fittings have a left-hand thread on that rib inside, so you just simply, literally unscrew the hose into the fitting, and it sucks it right in. And then I leave a little bit of room, so as I screw the actual fitting in itself, that it draws the hose end right up tight against the lip. And I think last time we talked about my scoop, the Silborn style scoop. You see, I've got it polished up. It could use one more polish, I think, but I did some paint detailing on it. Just detail and inside the scoop. So this is really going to be nice and cleanable. You can just take some Windex and clean bugs and water stains and things out of there. And I think it turned out quite nice. It'll be a nice detail on this car. Okay, getting back to fitting hoses, the first thing that I do is I get the piece of hose. I hope that I got the camera angled properly, but I will kind of mock up where I want the hose to go, what route, and I want it to kind of follow along the firewall, and then it looks like I'm going to just mark it with a piece of tape. That should be about what I want. You can kind of change the angles just to make sure, but that looks good. So that's what we'll do. So the next thing we want to do is cut the hose. And here's my weapon of choice. I like using this wire cutter. You can get them, I think, electrical supply place. These cut nice and clean. You don't have all of the debris and stuff like when you use a cutoff wheel. You've got to use what you've got to use. Use what you got. But this is what I do. And I've got the hose kind of lined up in the vise, and you want it kind of squarish. And then you can kind of adjust the squareness with the eyeball. Doesn't have to be totally square, but you want it reasonably good and square, and then just make a cut. And you can see the cut is really nice and clean. There's not a lot of fraying around here. So the next step will be to get the fitting and get it fit. Okay, so here's why I like these Raceflux fittings, is because you just literally, like, it's unscrew the hose end on, and it goes on real nice. It's almost all the way in there. You can see that there's no fraying. Let's see if I can get it up here. And we've got the hose end. See if this thing will let it focus. You can see the hose end is coming right up in there, and it's got about 1/8 of an inch gap, which is what I like. And I don't lose many of my tools. I've had a lot of tools for 40 years or so. But somehow or another I've lost the mating portion of that soft jaw for the fitting. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the flat side, and I can use a soft jaw. Lead, and get that fitting in there and kind of lock it down. And not damage it. Turned in there the right way. You just want it firm, but you don't want it so tight that you change the shape of the fitting. Now here's another kind of important thing. I use a little bit of high pressure lube. Anything will work. I don't recommend WD-40 though. It just doesn't last long enough. And so you can get this thing started in, and I can see it's starting right in where I want it. And just always just put a little forward pressure on the hose towards the fitting just to keep it from wanting to back up. And I can feel the hose wanting to kind of torque, which is fine. And that's all there is to it. Just bring it in until you get it seated just lightly. You don't have to smash them together. Now, just bear in mind, these are fuel lines. This isn't like high pressure hydraulics. So, you know, we're talking 6 PSI, 7 PSI. So I think some people kind of overdo that a little bit, and there's no need to just be Captain Over Torque about this stuff. So there we have the completed fitting. So what I'm going to do is I'll get the other end together and we'll fit it in the car. I don't think you need to see it done twice. Alrighty then, we got the fitting built, the hose is built, and here's the end coming up into where we're going to feed the carbs. Now what I'll do is when I'm finally got the carbs all dialed in and everything, and I'm not taking this apart or putting it back together again, I'm going to paint those blue fittings black. And I'm just not gonna, there's no need to pay a bunch of money to buy new lines that have black anodized. Maybe another time later on down the road. But so the line runs up. I got it. I can clamp it to the firewall if I want to, but I have a second line that'll go next to it, and I've got some pipe separators, and there's the first feed. So that's and then there's my fuel pressure regulator fitting. So let's see if we can get back far enough and get some light in here where you can see kind of how this is going to go. And when I get the second one done, I'll do another video when I've got the fuel pressure gauge. See, that hard hose there, what it does is it kind of wants to turn the fuel pressure gauge. So what I've got is I've got a 180 degree fitting that I'm going to put on that, and then feed the hose coming from the windshield direction up underneath the hood. So this was just, I just felt I needed to have some kind of a boost gauge on there so I could see what kind of boost this thing was making. But so that's kind of the direction I'm going on these hoses, and I hope that you found some kind of use out of this video. And if you like the video, please like and subscribe, and we'll have some other things. I'll get this finished up, and then we'll show I'm gonna have to flush this, and I'll show you how I flush it, and then we'll put it together and run it the way it is and make sure that the float levels are okay on the back carburetor. I'm not worried about the front carburetor because I'm changing that one. And that's one less thing I have to do when I change the carbs out. So thanks for watching, and I appreciate all the views. Feel free to make comments, positive ones, or comments that would be helpful or help other people. I really appreciate that too. So with all that, I say have a safe Thanksgiving. Be careful out there, and we'll catch you on the next video. Thanks.